Hi everyone, my name is Megan Joyce, and I've decided to do my final project on an author study on the author David Shannon. This fall, I'm going to be in the kindergarten classroom for my student teaching, so I chose David Shannon as the author because I believe he is a lot of his books are very age appropriate for kindergartners, so that's why I chose to do my author study on him, and the intended audience is kindergarten students. So my vision for this project is to help my students get a better understanding of the author, David Shannon. I also really want to be focusing on the different kinds of illustrations in his books. One of the things that I love about David Shannon is that he actually created his book, No David, originally when he was a young child. So that's really important because he actually did this through illustrations. So I want my students to be able to identify and interpret illustrations in their own way. I'm hoping that the students will be able to learn how to make connections between characters in his text and his real life and be able to express their opinions and thoughts in a flip book. This author study will also help children get a better understanding for reading, rules, and diversity. So since this is for kindergarten students, I wanted to make sure that the books I chose were all very visual and that they'll be a great tool for children to understand the book through the illustrations and not just the words. I'm going to read a quote from the Kiefer and Tyson book. Just as words can convey meaning on several levels, the elements of art have the capacity to convey the meaning and evoke emotion. This is really important because I really want that to be one of the main focuses that the children grasp. Shannon's books are vibrant, silly, and imaginative, and even though his books are imaginative, the students will be able to make personal connections to his characters because of the emotions portrayed in his text, such as anger, sadness, and happiness. So one of the other reasons I chose David Shannon as the author study is because he wants to ensure that his children are having fun when reading his stories. During a Reading Rockets interview, he stated, "I try to have fun when I'm making my book," he says. "I feel like I have fun that's going to come across, and whoever reads it is going to have fun too." So pretty much all David Shannon's books actually are somewhat based off of something that's inspired him from his real life. So No David, he actually created when he was 5 years old. His book about Fergie, his dog, is about his childhood dog, and those make connections. A Bad Case of Stripes was inspired about how his hatred of lima beans. So these are all things that I think kids can relate to, and that was one of the other reasons why I chose him. The purpose of this project is to help students grasp a better understanding of the author whose books are entertaining for them to read. This will help students gain a better understanding and love for reading and make connections between words and pictures. The students will be creating a flip book throughout this entire process where after we reread each of the books, they will go back into their flip book and write a fact about David Shannon, and they will draw and interpret their own illustration of the story. This is a chance to allow the kids to be creative and also to feel like an illustrator just like David Shannon. So the summary of these lessons, there's going to be 5 books. These books are No David, A Bad Case of Stripes, David Gets in Trouble, Good Boy Fergus, and Duck on a Bike. I wanted to make sure to choose different books. There are 2 of the David series books, and I wanted to choose those 2 because there are similarities in those books, and I just wanted the children to see comparisons between those 2 books, and we will actually be doing a Venn diagram on that to compare David Gets in Trouble and No David. Also, I wanted to do this because these 2 books have a lot of the same colors, as well as Good Boy Fergus. So I want them to see how he carries his colors and his stories and his illustrations along all of his different books and makes this connection and what the different colors in his book represent. A lot of times he uses greens and yellows to show a calming and warmth effect, but also, places that cause caution. So my overall goal of this author study is for students to develop a better understanding of the author David Shannon. This author study will meet several of kindergarten reading requirements and allow children to develop an understanding and link between illustrations and words. Here's another quote from Kiefer and Tyson. "In a picture book, the message is conveyed equally through a picture and word." The overall goal I have for my students is to show them that a story isn't just told through words, but it's also told through pictures. Another really important aspect of why I chose David Shannon is because A lot of his books are super relatable. In the book A Bad Case of Stripes by David Shannon, this little girl is very different from other students, and I want my students to be able to understand that it is okay to be different, and this can be a great chance to talk about diversity as well in the classroom. So that's another reason why I chose these David Shannon books. So all in all, I wanted to do this author study because I believe that it will evaluate writing styles, make connections between the author's life and work, and help students make connections between their life and the author or characters in his books. I think David Shannon is a very relatable, fun, and engaging author, and I hope that after this author study, my students will be able to greatly see that. So that's all I have for my author study. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much.